Okay, guys, hello. Welcome back to my channel. I'm sorry I kind of look gross right now. But I'm scared and also very emotional, and I have a lot of thoughts going on in my head right now, and I'm not really the type to journal, and this wasn't my first place that I kind of wanted to vent, but my counselor kind of recommended this as a way to just get a lot of the thoughts that I have going on out so that I can process them. And I'm very emotional, mostly because obviously you guys know, if you watched my last video, that I'm having weight loss surgery. And ideally I wanted to have that done over the summer. That way I didn't have to deal with it during school, at least like the surgery part. Obviously the recovery is extensive, and the everything that just comes after surgery is very extensive, but I thought if I get the surgery out of the way, I can at least have that part done. However, that didn't exactly happen, just because you have to go through a lot of things before you get that set date and you schedule that date. And for me, I just got that date a week ago, a little less than a week ago, and it's like real now, and it's very scary, and I feel like I delayed a lot of the thoughts that I was having, and didn't allow myself time to process everything that would go into what's going to happen in my life. And now that I know that I'm having surgery on October 10th, it's just real. And you have to start this diet beforehand, and it's just clear liquids, so I can only have water, and I think you can have like things like Crystal Light and stuff, and I can have like different broths, and sugar-free Jello and sugar-free popsicles, and that's all I can have starting 2 weeks before surgery, which is literally next Friday. And then once you have surgery, you have to keep that diet again for another 2 weeks until it just kind of builds up. And I knew all this information going in because I had my consultation a while ago, and I knew what to expect, but at the same time, like I said, I didn't allow myself time to process what exactly that was all going to take and what it was going to look like. And I knew that I was going to be stressed just because I have to balance literally my entire life changing and rapidly on top of school. And I already knew like this year is just already stressful without that factor. I don't know. So I guess these videos aren't necessarily for people to watch, but just rather for me to have a way of documenting my feelings. And I think what I'm going to do is just keep this as a separate series on my channel. Series, I guess is what you can call it. And I just want to be able to document my feelings and emotions and just the entire process, because I've heard a lot of people say who have had this surgery that as you begin to lose weight and just things are changing rapidly, even after you like lose a lot of weight, it's hard to see the difference and it's hard to feel the difference. And so that's another reason I want to document this on a video platform. That way I have that visual representation so that I can look back and just see my progress. And also because to me it's a story worth telling, and I think it's very scary for someone, especially my age, that is going through something like this. So there's that. A lot of these videos are probably going to be me just like rambling and talking, and they're going to be sporadic because my emotions aren't scheduled. So I mean, I literally just started crying, and I was like, you know what, I need to sit down and just talk. So here I am. I had a counseling session this morning because obviously with all of the things that are going on, it's not exactly something that I can just handle on my own. And so I started going to the counselors that my school provides, which has been very beneficial this year especially. And I probably should have been seeing them last year, but taking care of yourself is hard, man. It really is. But I'm trying to do that now. So anyways, I'm rambling. She suggested to me that I need to sit down and talk about the pros and cons of how I feel this surgery is going to go, just because these past couple of weeks, and this last week especially, I've been going back and forth a lot, just worrying about all these different things. And if you know me, you know that I'm a very anxious person, and maybe I don't lead on, like, I don't, what am I trying to say? Maybe I'm not viewed in that way, but I mean, those closest to me know that I'm so indecisive, and I always weigh every possible option or weigh every possible outcome or anything that could happen. So like already I'm thinking about things that could happen after surgery that may not even happen, but I'm still spending energy worrying about them to the point where it's like getting unhealthy, because I cry at least once a day, just like breaking down, because it's a lot. It's a lot. So, I'm gonna sit here, and I don't know the best way to do this. I don't know if I literally like pull out my computer and write down like pros and cons, or if I just talk. So I think it would be smarter for me to get out my laptop and make a list, and then just kind of talk about it as I go and make it as I go, just because that will be in its rawest form. Also, this camera is very high, but like, I don't know. There we go. Right? No, it's crooked. Okay. I've been trying to stay hydrated. I have this big old jug, like literally it's the size of my head. I have this big old 64-ounce water bottle. But it's really been helping. I've been drinking nearly a gallon of water a day. So that's really fun and fresh. Let me pull up Microsoft Word because we are about to make this list. I don't know how long this is going to be. And obviously I don't expect people to watch because like I said, it's not for people, but it's for me. So I guess watch if you want to. But I also respect if you don't want to sit here and listen to me talk for probably a good 40 minutes. Okay, so let's start with pros. Actually, maybe we should start with cons. So I guess the first con is that it's in the middle of my school year, which means I have to miss some of my classes because I have to stay overnight in the hospital, and yeah, I mean, that one pretty much speaks for itself. Another con is that it's interfering with my leadership positions on campus, which again kind of branches off of the fact that it's in the middle of the school year. And it's kind of limiting me to what all I can do, which is hard because if you know me, you know I dedicate a lot of time to the extracurriculars that I'm involved in, and so it's very hard to just kind of have to step back from those. Another con is that I've read a lot about hair loss, which, I mean, in hindsight, a lot of things could be worse, but I mean, that's a fear that I have. My hair is part of my identity, and I don't know, that's just something I'm scared of. And along with that, I know there's a strong possibility of being really sick afterwards, just because like when they do the surgery, they essentially take 85% of your stomach. So my stomach is literally like, I mean, it's gonna be gone. And so trying to find foods that you can eat and that won't upset your stomach is a journey. And obviously in that there's going to be trials and tribulations, and is that the right word? I don't know. But I mean, I just am scared about eating like in public and getting sick. Like that's another thing, a small thing that I'm worrying about, because I don't have time to go back to my room in the middle of the day and eat my meals. So that's just something I'm worried about. Let me see. I had all these things. Oh, a big one that I talked about this morning, which I didn't even really realize I felt this way until I started talking about it. But it's very clear that I am a huge advocate for plus size women, especially, and plus, I mean, all genders. But what was I gonna say? I just feel like once I lose weight, I don't really have the place to be in that position anymore. And again, being plus size is part of my identity. And in the last couple of years, it's become a very big part of my identity. No pun intended. But I mean, it is. And I've reflected on it in the past couple of weeks, and I've realized that there have been some parts of my life that I have changed due to being overweight, or like there's anxieties that I form because of being overweight. And I don't know, it's kind of embarrassing to talk about, but I'm gonna be completely real. Like, I know I'm not alone in saying this, especially for other big people, and I'm in a support group on Facebook, and they all talk about things like that, and it just made me feel very comforting. Like the fact that if I go somewhere, like I don't know if I'm gonna fit in a chair, which is like embarrassing to an extent, but it's just small things like that that I have formed anxieties from, going in public, and just different things that I try not to let affect me, but they're always in my mind, always. And I guess that is the biggest way that being overweight has changed my life and my mentality. And going back to the fact that once I lose weight, that part of my identity, I'm like being forced to say my goodbyes, or like say my you know, good riddance, like, because that's not going to be a part of my identity anymore. And it's not like, I mean, I guess essentially I am choosing that because I'm not being forced to have this surgery. However, I don't want my weight to get to a point where it starts interfering with my health. And I've tried losing weight so many times before, and it just has never worked. And obviously this is the last resort thing. Like, I wouldn't just be doing this for the fun of it. But it's kind of something that I need to have done. So, I mean, here we are. So I guess losing part of my identity. And going off of that, another thing that I talked about was just how comfortable I have become with being uncomfortable. So kind of going back to how I was talking about those anxieties that I formed, they've just become part of my routine pattern of thinking, to the point where it's just like second nature to me. And I know that, like, for one of my classes, for example, they have desks in their room that are not very easy for me to sit in. And so I went early on the first day so that I could switch it out with the kind of desk that I wanted, because some of them have mixed. So I wanted to make sure that I got a seat with the ones that I feel most comfortable in. And it's just things like that that, like, the average person probably doesn't have to worry about. But I mean, those are like real things that I have to kind of put extra effort into being cautious of, just because I don't want to be in a public situation where I am uncomfortable, or that could possibly bring attention to me, because I don't like having attention on me. I'm sorry, I'm so dehydrated. However, wait, what was I saying? What I was trying to say was that I feel like, oh, the part about being comfortable with being uncomfortable. Going along with that, I also feel like I got in such a mentality that, you know, they always say, like, fake it till you make it, and with relating to confidence and things like that. And I really feel like I did that, but it got to the point where I almost tricked myself into thinking that I love myself, which sounds like really, I don't know, self-image is like not my forte. And I feel like I don't hate my body. In fact, I think I'm probably the most okay with my body that I probably ever have been. And I'm just at a loss for words. I don't know. Part of me wonders if I really do love my body, or if I've just told myself that so many times that I just believed it, as a way to cope with the fact that I am overweight and couldn't really do anything about it. And that's how I felt. I mean, obviously a lot of people are going to say, well, just work out, it's easy. But I have, and those things don't work for me. So I guess just that idea of having to explore the idea of self-image is not necessarily a con, but that's something that scares me. And also, this is like, I don't know, this is like kind of depressing, but I need to do this, y'all. I talked about how I think I suffer from body dysmorphia. It's obviously not diagnosed. However, for a very long time, I felt like I didn't have it, because in the cases that I've seen, it's always smaller people struggling and seeing themselves as bigger than they really are. But I always see myself smaller than I actually am. And so, again, I think that was a formed trait as a way to cope with the fact that I was rapidly gaining weight. And I've gained a lot of weight even since high school. Like, I've put on a lot of weight, and I think instead of facing the fact that, like, hey, maybe you should change something up, or I don't know, and instead of facing that, I just allowed myself to become okay with it. So I think I wrapped up my feelings on that. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, obviously there are many cons, like I could have complications in surgery, and just different things like that. I am very scared about the clear liquid diet. I think once I get past that, it'll be tough, but I'll obviously have more options as to what I can eat. So although it will be tough, it'll be manageable. Whereas I think it's just so unrealistic, especially for me, a person who relies on food both, I mean, physically, but also emotionally, because I mean, food is my comfort. And so having to deal with that emotionally is going to be my biggest thing. And I think I said that in my last video, that the best way that I can explain it is that I have a family member dying, and I know they're dying, right? Because that family member for me is food. And I know that I'm having surgery, which means I'm not going to be able to count on food like I have in the past for emotional support. So I know that this family member is dying, but I can't really, I mean, theoretically, I can't stop it. I cannot have surgery, but you know what I'm talking about. I feel like they're dying, and I know that they're dying, and I can't really do anything about it. Like, it's just kind of out of my hands. And it's almost like I have to grieve the loss of food. And that's like a very real thing. So it's scary. I don't know, man. I just feel so many things. Let's see. I'm at 20 minutes, so I'm going to move on to pros. The biggest pro, obviously, is that it's going to better my overall health. And although I had this as a con, I think it's going to force me to face a lot of other problems about me internally, like emotionally and things like that. Pause. That just brought up something. Why am I stuffy? Oh, what was I gonna say? Oh, another con that I'm very scared of is, so back in 7th grade, I was at my heaviest that I had been before now. I'm at the heaviest weight I've ever been now. But at the point in middle school, that was my heaviest. And I lost like 100 pounds. Like, I like literally completely changed and like switched everything around. Obviously, I gained it back. But when I was at my lowest that I had been like literally ever, besides being younger and stuff, I had the worst self-confidence and self-image, and it didn't really help that that was in middle school, so I was already trying to develop who I was as a person, but I felt like I had to like do the most to just like fit in and feel accepted, because prior to that I never was, because of my weight. I always got picked on because of my weight, and when I lost the weight, I felt like all my problems were gonna vanish. And so that's another thing that scares me, is that I'm gonna lose weight. And so I guess in our society there's this notion that skinny people are happy with themselves, and because of how my body looks, I should feel bad about how I look, which isn't the case. However, because I am so big, if I lose all this weight, I'm literally going to look like a deflated airbag because of all the extra skin that I'm gonna have from losing the weight, because you lose weight but the skin doesn't really go anywhere. And so I've looked into having the second surgery, and I made it very clear to my mom that if I go through with this weight loss surgery, which I am now, that I would have to do the second part, and when they go in and like fix your skin, I guess, because that's I don't know, that scares me, that I'm just gonna literally look like a plastic sack. Like, for real. I don't know. I'm stressed. Okay, moving on to pros. So obviously it's going to be better for my overall health. It's going to force me to face a lot of problems about myself internally and mentally and emotionally. And hopefully a pro is that I feel better overall, both health-wise and whatever. And I also think that by doing this, I can let go of that layer of protection that I have formed around myself, of being comfortable with being uncomfortable, if that makes sense. So letting go of formed anxieties. And visually, the con list is much larger than the pros. However, I think the pros hold more quality. So to me, it's quality over quantity, because the cons are just like little things like hair loss and stuff like that, whereas the pros are like, I'm bettering my health, I'm bettering myself. And if that means I have to go through these small things like losing a little bit of hair there, here and there, although some people lose a lot of hair, I don't know, but if that's what it takes to hopefully change my lifestyle, then why not, you know? Yeah, I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pause here, because I've talked about a lot and I've rambled a lot, and this video is already at 26 minutes, and I'm probably not gonna edit this at all. But I think it's crucial for me to start this series now. I was not going to do so until I started my liquid diet, but I think it's important for me to get these feelings out there. That way I can look back and not only see my physical progress and how I have changed physically, but also my emotional progress. So here's this. Again, I don't really care if you watch it or not, because this video is for me. And yeah, I don't know. I think my next video will probably be next week, because I'm anxious now, but I start my all liquid diet, my clear liquid diet, next Friday. So it's really gonna hit me. And on top of that, I don't know. And then obviously I want to kind of document before and after surgery. And then after I have surgery, I'll probably do kind of like a weekly update and do like weigh-ins and stuff. Although I want to be careful, because I don't want to rely on the number too much of like how much I weigh, because I think that can quickly get dangerous for me. Just because I think I'll try it and almost turn it into like a competition to see how much weight I can lose, which in hindsight is a good goal, but I just don't want it to get to like an unhealthy point where I'm losing weight too quickly. And obviously my goal is not to be skinny, it's just to be healthier and to lose a healthy amount of weight. So I guess we'll see where that goes. I'm gonna end this video because I'm talking a lot, but if you made it to the end, I applaud you. And even if you listened to it for 30 seconds, I still appreciate that you're taking the time to listen to me vent about some very, very emotionally raw, real feelings. So much love to you. I'm gonna go because I have homework, but I will see you guys soon. I will talk to you soon. Goodbye.